Assalamualaikum everyone. In this video, I'll be teaching the last subtopic of health promotion. Okay, so which is the last ever subtopic in health and psychology in health. Okay, so in health promotion, we have looked at strategies in promoting health, which we had fear arousal, Yale model of communication and providing information. Last week, you also studied health promotion in schools, work sites, and communities, and you have made mind maps on that. So this topic will talk about individual factors in changing health belief. Now, so we are talking about promoting health. Now, obviously, in some methods do not work for everyone. Okay, some only work on some people, so there are the individual differences. Let's say, for example, when you are promoting healthy eating, okay, it's and you are using fear arousal. Now, for some people, it might be easier for us to promote health to them, but for some people, they might be reluctant. So there we have to consider what are the factors that we have to take into account when we are trying to promote health. So here in this subtopic, we are going to look at what are the factors that we have to consider when we try to change health belief. Okay, now, so the first one, we're going to look at unrealistic optimism, and then trans-theoretical model, and health change in adolescents. Now, so what is unrealistic optimism? What is optimism? What is being optimistic? Okay, so basically when you are being too positive. Okay, now sometimes it can be good, but sometimes it may be a danger, especially if the risk is high. Let's say, for example, in this scenario right here, how the dog is in a real danger, but he is being unrealistically optimistic about it. Okay, so this can the stakes are high, the risks are high here, it's a problem. Okay, so unrealistic optimism is believing that you are not vulnerable, you are not at risk, and expect others to be victims of misfortune and illness, not yourself. Let's say, for example, you getting diabetes, nauzubillah, at the age of 40. Okay, you are being unrealistically optimistic by saying that's not going to happen to me, that's more likely to happen to someone else, or maybe someone who's maybe, I don't want to say this, well, I was going to say fatter, but that's a bit too mean. Someone that is less fit than I am. Okay, I'm fit, I don't think I'll be getting diabetic when you are drinking actually Coke every single day. Okay, so you're being unrealistically optimistic. Okay, now again, as I said, this is a problem when the stakes are high. Now, when the risks are high, let's say, for example, Trump on coronavirus, he's being too optimistic, too unrealistically optimistic, saying that coronavirus is just like a flu. Okay, not only that, before it even hit US, Trump was being so unrealistic, saying that it will not reach US, or if it does, US will have it under control. So when he was being this too unrealistically optimistic about it, he did not do any early prevention, which could have saved life. Okay, because he was being too optimistic, he was not preparing themselves, he was not preparing US. So what was the result of that? In total, now this is as of 2 days ago, I think, 1.3 million cases already in the US because Trump was being too optimistic. I'm not sure if it was too optimistic or he was being ignorant. Okay, but he was, because he believed that US will have it under control, he was being too optimistic about it. Okay, that they did not do any early prevention, which could have actually lowered this number if only he was not being actually, if he was being realistic, the numbers could have been lower. Okay, but this is the result of unrealistic optimism in Trump. But then again, as I said, I'm not sure if it was unrealistic optimism or was it just ignorant. Okay, now, so that's unrealistic optimism. So in this study, in this top subtopic, one study that did on this was Weinstein 1980 investigated unrealistic optimism about future life events. Okay, now there are several factors that cause a person to be optimistically biased: their desired end state, their cognitive mechanism, the information they have about themselves versus others, and overall mood. Now, in the study, he wanted to test 6 hypotheses. So, in this study, he wanted to this was the hypothesis, the first one. People believe that negative events are less likely to happen to them than to others, and they believe that positive events are more likely to happen to them than others. Let's say, for example, if I were to ask you, you versus your friend, who is more likely to fail? Okay, or who is more likely to fall sick? You are in this, according to the hypothesis, you would say your friend. Okay, you believe that negative events are less likely to happen to you compared to your friends. But then when if I ask you, who is more likely to get a higher paying job, you or your friend? Okay, which is a positive event. Okay, so you are more likely to say you. Okay, that is according to this hypothesis. So this is the main hypothesis that we're going to look at. There are also 5 others that you can have a read on by yourself. Okay, so what happened was, and he studied 258 college students, give them 2 rating forms. Okay, so the if you look at your notes, page 269, in the table, there are 42 events, positive and negative. So these 42 events were randomly split between the 2 rating forms. So they did one at a time. Okay, so there were positive and negative in each rating form. Okay, now the instruction was, compared to other students, same sex as you. So if you're a girl, the other student you're gonna compare yourself with is another girl. Okay, so what do you think are the chances that the following events will happen to you? And then they give the 42 events. So let's say, for example, here, one of the negative life events that they asked was heart attack before age of 40. Okay, so there were 15 choices. This is a 15-point scale. Okay, so the lowest being 100% less than average, so which means it is zero, there is 0 possibility that will happen to you. And then the higher risk, the other extreme is could exceed 100%, so it's more likely to happen to you. Okay, so this is saying that it will happen to you, most likely happen to you. This is saying there's no possibility that it will happen to you. Now, according to the hypothesis, people believe that negative events, which is, so definitely this is a negative event, heart attack before age 40, there's nothing to celebrate about. Okay, so people believe that negative events are less likely to happen to them than to others. So according to the hypothesis, the participants are more likely to choose answer around this area. Okay, that it's not like it's less likely to happen to them compared to other students. Okay, so what was the result? When looking at the ratings for the 42 life events, when it was positive events, they rated their own chances of that happening to them above average. So when it was a positive event, they were more likely to choose answers around this area, that it's more likely to happen to them compared to their friends. When it was a negative event, they were more likely to choose answers from around this area, that it is less likely to happen to them but more likely to happen to their friends. Okay, so unrealistic optimism for both positive and negative life events. Okay, now in your textbook it says that all 6 hypotheses here were found. Okay, so they accepted all the hypotheses. The results showed that they accepted this hypothesis. Okay, now so what were their reasonings when it was negative event? Optimism and perceived controllability had an impact on participants' judgment. Now, let's say there were two, let's say, heart attack before age 40. They were being optimistic. No, it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. It's more likely to happen to my friends, but not me. Okay. They were being optimistic. And they also considered the controllability. Let's say, for example, if it's something that they can control, let's say heart attack, how can we control it? So basically eating healthy, staying fit. Okay, so if they feel like they can control situation, this is when stereotype existed in participants' mind. Okay, so let's say here heart attack before age 40. So the stereotype is heart attack is more likely to happen to someone who is obese, someone who is not eating healthily, someone who is not fit. Okay, so when it comes to this, stereotype comes into mind. So that's why they would say, I have lower risk of getting a heart attack compared to other people who are obese. The stereotype. Okay, stereotype. So this is what is in their mind when they were doing this. When they were doing this, negative events less likely to happen to them, but more likely to happen to their friends. This is what impacted their judgment, optimism, and perceived controllability. If they have control, if they feel like they can control it, okay, that's when stereotype comes into your head. Okay, so let's say again, lung cancer. Okay, here, lung cancer before age 40. Okay, you're being optimistic. No, that's not gonna happen to me. And then but it's more likely to happen to my friends who are smokers. Okay, and then you feel like you can control it. Of course I can control it. I haven't smoked. I do not smoke. Okay, so you feel like you can control it, but obviously my friends who are smokers, and then again the stereotype is lung cancer is more likely to happen to smokers. So that's a stereotype. We have that in our mind. So I have lower risk of getting a lung cancer because I don't smoke. It's more likely to happen to my friends. They smoke a carton per day. Okay, so stereotype comes into play. Okay, so that is according to Weinstein. Now let's look at trans-theoretical model. What is trans-theoretical? Theoretical, actually. This is not supposed to be O. It's supposed to be E. Sorry. Theoretical model by Prochaska et al. So what is trans-theoretical model? It suggests that as individuals start on a trajectory of a health behavior, they move through 6 stages of change. Okay, so pre-contemplation. So if you're trying to change health behaviors in a person, you have to do it in these stages. Okay, so the first stage is pre-contemplation. According to your notes, in this stage, people do not intend to take action in the foreseeable future, defined as within the next 6 months. Okay, let's talk about let's give the scenario of eating healthily. Okay, so in this stage, these people do not see themselves eating healthy. Okay, not yet. Okay, and then they move on to the next stage, which is contemplation. In this stage, people are intending to start the healthy behavior in the foreseeable future. Even with this recognition, people may still feel ambivalent toward changing their behavior. So in this stage, it's already in their mind. Okay, I need to start eating healthy. Okay, I can see myself eating more greens in the next 6 months. So that's that stage. And then there's the preparation. In this stage, people are ready to take action within the next 30 days. People start to take small steps towards the behavior change, and they believe changing their behavior can lead to a healthier life. So they are here in this stage, they are ready to take action. So they are preparing. So let's say okay, tomorrow I'm gonna go shopping, I'm gonna get more carrots, greens. Okay, I'm gonna lay off the snacks, okay, tomorrow. So that's the preparation. And then the next stage is action. Again, guys, this do not happen overnight, okay? This takes maybe a few days, weeks, months. Okay, after preparation, that's when action takes place. In this stage, people have recently changed their behavior and intend to keep moving forward with that behavior change. People may exhibit this by modifying their problem behavior or acquiring new healthy behavior. So action is basically when, let's say, day 1 of eating greens, day 2, day 3, okay? And this does not necessarily mean a big step. It can just be a small step. Let's say, for example, I'm just gonna eat greens for lunch today. I'm not gonna do it for the whole day, let's say. Okay, so they start small. After and then it will gradually change into more healthy behaviors. Okay, so the next step is maintenance. In this stage, people have sustained their behavior change for a while, let's say more than 6 months. Okay, so let's say you have been eating for eating greens. By greens I mean vegetables, guys. Let's say you have been eating for a week. That's not in the maintenance stage yet. Okay, you know how we are when we want to go on diet. Okay, I'm on a diet, but you've only done it for a week. That's not really a diet. Okay, that's still in this stage. Okay, you have not maintained it. In this stage you are maintaining healthy behavior for 6 months. Okay, and then however there is always relapse, which is termination relapse. Okay, let's say for example when you're on a drug, there's always some people, they can go into relapse where they go back to eating, not eating, taking drugs. There's always this. Okay, termination. Okay, what is termination? In this stage, people have no desire to return to their unhealthy behaviors and are sure they will not relapse. Since this is really rich and people tend to stay in the maintenance stage, this stage is often not considered in health promotion programs. Oh, yeah, that. Okay, so here. So again, guys, this is sometimes this is ongoing. Once you have gone to this and then you go into this, so you start again. Okay, you relapse and then you go back to this. You relapse, you go back to this. This is especially true when it comes to us saying I'm gonna go on a diet. It lasts a week and then okay, I'll start again tomorrow. Okay, actually I'll start again next Monday. Okay, so this is the model. Now what is good about knowing this model, okay, as you can see here, there is a process of change, okay, that we have to complete to move on to the next stage. Now if you look at your textbook page 271, now in the table there that are the 10 processes that have received the most empirical support. So in this stage are 10 processes, which are the first one, consciousness raising. So that is somewhere around here. Okay, so basically someone has told you that it's good to eat greens, it's good for your future. So that's around this stage. Consciousness is raising. Okay, and then dramatic relief, self-evaluation. Okay, you can have a read at that. Okay, now to help so what is good about this what is useful about this model is it helps us understand the process of change. Okay, that we should not just go straight into this. Before someone does not just go into this. Before this, there are a few things that they go through before they take action. So we have to consider this stage. This is important. Okay, trying to change their belief in the first place is important. Okay, now remember the 10 processes. Okay, so this model says that the 10 processes of change, different processes of change need to be applied at different stages of change. Okay, let's say consciousness raising, which is involving increased awareness about the causes, consequences, and cures for particular problem behavior. Okay, so when we want to raise awareness about healthy eating, it is good to do it in the stages. Okay, now, so what is the conclusion? Prochaska et al. Believe that future of health promotion program lies with stage match, proactive and interactive programs. What does it mean by stage match? Again, now there are 10 processes, right? According to this model, there are 10 processes involved in trying to change their healthy behavior. Okay, so self-consciousness raising, traumatic relief, self-evaluation. Now, so it is good to do it according to the stage, match it according to the stage. Now, let's say one of the 10 processes is counter conditioning. Okay, which is, if you look at your notes, page 272, counter conditioning, what happens here, requires the learning of healthy behaviors that can become substitutes for problem behavior. What are the strategies here? They start doing relaxation technique, changing food already. Okay, so now let's say I'm trying to promote health to someone who's trying to go on a diet. Okay, now, and I go straight into counter conditioning. Okay, they are still on at this stage. They are still at this stage where they're contemplating, and we are already doing action. Okay, intervention strategies, which here should happen around here, not here. If we do it too fast, that's not gonna work. Okay, if we not do it too fast, if they do this early, that's not going to work because they are not in this stage yet. Okay, so around this stage, what you should do is basically the first two processes, which is raising their consciousness, raising their awareness, first, and then dramatic relief. So basically, not attacking. What's the word I'm looking for? Okay, let's just say attacking their emotion first. Okay, around here, let's say initially produces increased emotional experiences. Okay, that's in your notes under dramatic relief. And then we have to do self-evaluation first, which combines both cognitive and effective assessments of one's self-image with and without a particular unhealthy habit. So in these stages, we need to do the early processes first, raising awareness, looking at their emotion, okay, looking at the cognition first, and then in this stage, then we can do this process. Okay, so our intervention strategy has to match the stage that they are in. Okay, we don't just start it straight away. We don't just start the action straight away. We have to look at what stage you are in first. Okay, so this is what Prochaska believe, that we go through a few stages, okay, which has 10 processes. Okay, we go to 6 stages, that, and if we want to promote health and if we want to change your behavior, we have to match the intervention strategies with the stage that they are in. Okay, only then it will be effective. Okay, so that is Prochaska. Now, the last one is health change in adolescence, Lau 1990. Adolescence is basically what you guys are at the age that you guys are in now. Okay, now in this study he wanted to explore how sources of stability and change, so basically how our influence, is it our parents or peers in young adults, might affect their health behaviors, for behaviors such as drinking, diet, exercise, and wearing seatbelts. Who is our biggest influence when it comes to, who is your biggest, I'm not a young adult anymore, you guys are young adults, so who is your biggest influence when it comes to your health belief, your health behaviors? Okay, is it your parents or is it your peers? Okay, so when it's, let's say, if you are on a, if your diet is before this, if your diet is basically no oily food, okay, and then once you go to school, once you go to university, do you still do not eat oily food, only steamed food? Okay, if you do, then the parents is your biggest influence. But once you go to college, let's say for example, you see your friends eating McDonald's fried food, and you slowly start to change your diet. That means peers is your influence. Okay, so here we want to look at who is the biggest influence in young adults healthy behaviors. Okay, now so Lau did a longitudinal study. He used students who were enrolled at I can't say this, guys. Yeah, it's actually wrong spelling lah, because okay, Carnegie Mellon. Oh, Mellon. Sorry, I'm fasting. Okay, Carnegie Mellon University. Okay, so there were 1,106 students who were sent questionnaires. So 1,106 students were sent questionnaires. Out of 1,106 students, 947 responded. Okay, and they responded with their parents. So the students and their parents both sent back responses. Okay, what did they send? Questionnaires. The data collected via questionnaires. Okay, over a period of 3 years. Maybe I should write that there. Longitudinal 3 years. That's a longitudinal study. Okay, longitudinal study 3 years. Okay. So they investigated 6 research questions. Now, first one is there a link between the health belief of parents and students when they initially leave home for college? How do parents exert their influence on their children? How much do young adults' health belief change during the first year of college life? So how much do peers influence their healthy behaviors? Let's say smoking, okay? In the first years of college, how do young adults' health belief change during the first year of college? How strong is the association between the health belief of young adults and their peers at this time? How do peers exert their influence over these young adults? How strong is the parental influence compared to peer influence? Number 6, that's a big question. So how strong is parental influence compared to peer influence? Who has the biggest influence? Is it the parents or is it your peers? Okay, I want you to answer that out in your head. Okay, now the result found that there was a substantial, so quite a big number change in performance of health behaviors during the first 3 years of college, and that peers have an increasing influence on these. So let's say you can see in the first 3 years of college there is a change in their healthy behaviors. I'm gonna talk about smoking here. Okay, let's say they started with not smoking in the first year, and then you can see that they gradually start to smoke. Okay, in the first 3 years of college, maybe they start with 1 stick per day, and then after 2 years it's one, what do you call, 1 box of is that correct, 1 box of cigarettes? I'm not quite sure with the terminology. And then after 3 years they go for they move towards 1 carton per day. 1 carton is basically the big box, guys, that I know. Okay, now so you can see that their behavior is starting to change in the first 3 years of college. So you can see that the peers do have influence over their healthy behaviors. Okay, but then if we look overall, parents' influence on health beliefs is much more significant than that of peers. So if you look overall, okay, peers do make a change in their health behaviors, but if you look at the bigger picture, the parents' influence on health belief is still more significant than that of peers. So what does this tell us? This tells us that as parents, early childhood development is important. Okay, because this will affect how they will live later on in life. Okay, so in the study, parents influence the behavior of child in the early years of development while they are at home. This influence decreases but it's still there. It just slightly decreases as the child leaves for college, as the peers that they spend their time with have a now have a greater influence over their behavior. This suggests that um, health behavior, health belief, it depends on proximity to individual. So who is your closest relationship at that moment? So who's closest to you, okay, at that moment? So that relationship is a factor over a person's health belief. Let's say, of course, early on in life, the closest to you is your parents. So they are a factor over or your health behavior or your health belief. But as you go to college, you are closer to your friends compared to your parents. Then your parents, no, then your peers are your biggest influence. Then, okay. So, which means direct modeling of behavior is the most powerful influence of an individual's self belief. So, let's say you do you remember modeling? So, basically, observing someone and they act as a model and you copy their behavior. So, if you, so at home you copy the behavior of your parents. In college or in university, you copy your model is your peers. So you direct model their behavior. So you copy paste their behavior. Okay. Now, and then again, let's recap. So even though parental influence plays a large part in the early years, but once a child leaves home, they are affected more by those that are around them. Okay, so which are their peers. Okay, so this is the conclusion of the study. So the influence in your health belief is those who are around you, who is closest to you. Okay, now and then that's it. Yay, we have finished health promotion, which makes that our last topic in psychology and health. So we have finished psychology and health. Thank you. If you have any question, please ask me on WhatsApp. Okay. Enjoy your holiday. I will see you after the holiday. You will go back to sleep and not go back to sleep, go back to school. Everyone is safe, okay? Selamat Hari Raya.